Welcome to today's Explainer. We hear a ton about shiny new EV models and these massive battery ranges, right? But today, we're zeroing in on the actual hurdle to global adoption, the infrastructure. We're going to unpack exactly how different parts of the world are building the physical systems needed to keep drivers secure on the road. We're shifting the conversation from vehicle specs straight to the reality of network resilience.
So, here's our flight plan for this explainer. 1. Surging sales, lingering anxiety. 2. The macro, which is public networks. 3. The micro, focusing on private charging. 4. The innovation, diving into mobile solutions. And finally, 5. Powering the road ahead.
All right, Section 1, surging sales, lingering anxiety.
It's the ultimate EV pain point we all know, isn't it? What happens when the battery dies and there is absolutely no plug in sight? Even with today's state-of-the-art ranges, this specific psychological barrier, what we call range anxiety, it remains incredibly sticky for potential buyers. We're not just talking about battery capacity anymore. We are talking about human psychology here. The sheer dread of being stranded on the side of a highway without power is a powerful deterrent. Overcoming it requires way more than just better batteries. It demands a ubiquitous, foolproof charging network. And we really need it fast. Recent data from South Australia's RAA shows that EV sales have easily blasted past their baseline figures from 2022. The global shift towards sustainable transport is gaining massive momentum. But, this steep upward curve means building comprehensive charging infrastructure is no longer just a nice-to-have bonus. It is an absolute urgent necessity to prevent an outright bottleneck on our roads. When adoption scales this quickly, the energy grid and the physical infrastructure literally have to evolve at the exact same time. If the infrastructure lags behind sales, range anxiety intensifies, and that threatens to stall the entire transition.
Moving right along to Section 2, the macro, public networks.
We're looking at a completely fascinating 120-year jump in how we handle roadside refueling. Think about this. Back in 1904, the RAA solved a very similar form of range anxiety for South Australia's very first car owners by literally delivering petrol cans to stranded motorists. Fast forward to today, and they're deploying 150-kilowatt ultra-rapid chargers while actively prepping for advanced mobile charging pilots by 2026. It's exactly the same fundamental problem, keeping drivers moving. It's just updated for a new century of tech. The mechanisms change, sure, but that core need for reliable energy access, that remains constant. So to really grasp the scale of what a macro solution looks like, consider the RAA Charge Initiative. They are actually constructing South Australia's very first border-to-border electric vehicle charging network, spanning all the way from Kangaroo Island to Coffin Bay. And what makes this so fascinating is the strategic deployment of different technologies based entirely on human behavior. They're installing destination 7-kilowatt chargers at tourist stops, places like a winery or a national park where people naturally spend a few hours anyway. Meanwhile, they're placing rapid 150-kilowatt chargers along major highways for fast transit, where drivers just need a super quick top-up to keep moving. It's a highly calculated mix designed to open up an entire region for seamless EV travel.
But building the physical stations is really only half the battle. The other half, it's behavioral. Enter idle fees. These are charges applied to drivers who overstay their charge at selected sites. As public networks grow, we're basically forced to create new social etiquette to prevent peak-hour gridlock. Think about it. If you leave your fully charged car blocking a rapid charger, you're going to pay a fee. It's actually a brilliant shift in behavioral economics. It ensures that these vital macro networks stay efficient and accessible for everyone who genuinely needs them, rather than just turning into premium parking spots.
Let's zoom in a bit. Section 3, the micro, private charging. Over in Dubai, the rapid expansion of the DEWA Green Charger Network is a fantastic public initiative, offering broad coverage across the whole city. But our sources in the UAE point out a stark reality. Relying purely on public stations brings unpredictable variables. You might face long queues during peak hours, or find yourself dealing with pre-trip stress before a long drive, just wondering if a public plug will actually be available for you. Contrast that with the highly tailored, totally predictable environment of a private home or workplace charger. Private installations are really becoming the ultimate remedy because they offer daily predictability and true energy independence. I mean, when you have a charger at home, you wake up with a full tank every single day. It completely removes the whole variable of finding a plug from your daily commute or your long drive prep. You don't have to factor charging stops into your everyday routine, and you effortlessly avoid those peak-hour public queues. It literally shifts the fueling paradigm from an active chore to a completely passive overnight convenience. Now for the really cool stuff.
Section 4, the innovation, mobile solutions. Following a highly successful 6-month trial, emergency EV charging is now a permanent offering from the RAA in South Australia. This is huge. It means if you run out of battery, the charging station essentially drives to you. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about emergency roadside assistance. Instead of towing the vehicle to a station, we're mobilizing the grid itself to reach the driver. That directly neutralizes that core psychological fear of being stranded.
And this innovation isn't isolated to Australia either. Over in the United States, the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center is gearing up for a pilot program launching in March 2026, focused specifically on MHD, that's medium and heavy-duty mobile charging solutions. This really highlights that mobile charging isn't just some consumer novelty. It's an absolutely necessary infrastructure layer for commercial fleets and larger transit vehicles as well. Making sure that delivery trucks and public transit have mobile emergency backups is absolutely vital for commercial confidence in the whole EV transition.
Okay, wrapping things up. Section 5, powering the road ahead. To truly dismantle range anxiety and support this massive surge in EV sales, we're seeing 3 distinct scales of innovation happening all at once. Step 1, building out vast, border-to-border macro public networks. Step 2, securing micro, private home charging setups for ultimate daily reliability. And Step 3, deploying innovative mobile emergency units. Together, these 3 layers interact to create a redundant, highly reliable ecosystem. It's essentially a multi-tiered safety net that ultimately neutralizes range anxiety for good. Which leaves us with this final, forward-looking question to ponder. Will the charging station of the future simply come to you? As we've seen throughout this explainer, from 1904 petrol cans all the way to 2026 mobile battery pilots, the way we fuel our journeys is constantly adapting to meet our exact needs. The days of hunting for a plug might very soon be entirely behind us. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.